You're listening to Neurodivergent Mates. Hello and welcome to Neurodivergent Mates. My name's Will Wheeler and my co-host, Photon John's actually away today. He's at the Queens of Stone Age concert. So Photon John, if you're listening, big hello to you. But I might as well just bring our guest straight on all the way from New Zealand. I've got my good friend, Rachel Van Gorp. Have I pronounced it right?
Yes, you have. Yes.
Hey, sorry, before I say anything, right? What's with the Van Gorp? Why is the V lowercase?
Yeah. No idea. It means from. So I don't know.
Oh, really? Well, what's like the nature? Where does it come from?
It's Holland, Dutch. So.
Oh, okay. Wow, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. We've got a really big topic. Yeah, not a problem. So, Rachel and I actually connect. I was going through Google Scholar and, I was trying to find some research, especially around vocational education. For those of you who are, in vocational education, it's so incredibly difficult to find stuff, especially around neurodiversity in this area. And I was reading, doing a little bit of research on Google Scholar, and came across this, reached out to Rachel, and we haven't stopped chatting since. Am I correct, Rachel?
You are very correct.
Nice. But look, thank you so much for coming today. Just for all of our listeners, so what we are going to be covering today is neurodiversity research in vocational education. So huge topic. But what we might do before we start, just for any new listeners we have listening today, please subscribe, like, and follow to all of our social media platforms. We're available on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and pretty much just connect with us through there. We used to have our website, but we actually just closed that down recently because it wasn't really that effective, but we may get one in the future. But you ready to rock and roll, Rachel?
I am ready to rock and roll.
Nice. So, I think probably before anything, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so Rachel Van Gorp, I'm from Dunedin, New Zealand. That's the very lower south of the South Island in New Zealand. I am a senior lecturer at the School of Business, which is at our Taga Polytechnic Te Pukenga, which is our vocational education provider throughout New Zealand. I've got a wide background, really. I came from a banking background. I went into personal training and massage therapy. I then opened a gym. I do lots of volunteering. I'm a wife, a mum. I have 2 adult children, and I have 2 little chugs, which are pug Chihuahua cross dogs.
And you live right near the beach, right?
Yes, very close to the beach. The whole of New Zealand, we're really by water all the time. So really on the coast, but actually not too far from a lake or anything like that. So, and we're in our summer, but not as hot as obviously where you are, Will. But we have had not such a bad summer.
What's some of the temperatures you've been getting? I'll see if we can beat it.
I'm not telling you.
Oh, really? We've got, I think hang on, let me have a look.
We did have a 30 on Valentine's Day. And then
really?
We plummeted to 13 the next day.
Oh, wow. Crazy. I got to admit, I've been to New Zealand a few times now. And when it is actually quite warm over there, even when it's not that warm, it's still it's such a beautiful place. When it's a nice, clear day, it's beautiful over there. Just I suppose there's probably some place similar to it here in Australia, but just the rivers and that, they're just crystal clear, and you want to just jump into them, but they're probably freezing.
Minus
Yeah, totally. So I was looking at my phone, and on Thursday, where I live, it's going to be 40 degrees.
Okay, so Thursday here, I think it's 16 or 17.
16. I'll send you some heat. I'll send you some heat.
Please.
But no, thank you so much for sharing that with us. You said you used to be into gyms, right? What was that like?
Oh, I loved it. Fun. Like, I like helping people. I like that coachy, mentory, teaching. Just helping people feel better about themselves. And as and I'm dyslexic, so and I learn by watching and visualing. So of course, anything in the gym is you mirrored back, what you're doing. So I found it really easy. I just found it really easy. I was always not a great sports person, but always it was definitely a better skill than a lot of the academia at school. So I quite like working in a team, working with someone else, and I still do. Enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, so you still do a little bit of, I don't know, are you a triathlete or what do you do?
So I did dabble on that, did dabble in lots of long distance. I've done a 100K race, been teams in Ironman, never done an Ironman myself, done lots of triathlons, done the Kepler, which is a big
is Ironman pretty big over in New Zealand, is it?
Yeah.
Is it as big as what it is here in Australia?
Yeah, probably, but obviously we've got less capita of people. But and I still do. I still run most mornings. Do some gym exercise through the week. I love, but it's good, just good for here. So,
you find like it's good for your mental health and all that. If you miss a day, do you feel it the next day, like mentally?
Yeah, and actually, I have to do a little bit of self-talk. Come on, chop. What are you doing? I sleep better. I think better. Yeah, well, I think I do anyway. And often my husband goes, "Come on, out."
Come on out. Come on, get out of here. Awesome. Well, I think it's just interesting because it's a side of you I've never really spoken to you about before. No. So
we always have so much to talk about.
We're always just talking about like neurodiversity and education and all that type of stuff. But no, that's interesting. But I think the main thing too is, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing now, and especially, the research you decided to do.
Yep. Okay. So, being at Otago Polytechnic, I sold my gym 7 years ago, just went to work at the institute, and then realised I liked that teaching side of things. So I did some study, and I was doing, I did about 3 different papers, and then I decided to do my master's. And while I was in my master's of my professional practice, my focus was on the neurodiversity and vocational education. But because it was an interest, back in 2015, I think it was, I was diagnosed with Irlen syndrome. So I think I've spoken to you about that. Well, it's about that depth perception, your eyes, black writing on white paper that moves. Yeah, so I never really correlated it. I was in personal training, never really thought about it.
Because you probably didn't need it, right?
I didn't. I had some lenses put in my glasses, and I thought about it for that long. And then I started working at the Otago Polytechnic, and I was doing my degree back in 2017-18, and my facilitator then questioned my learning style. And we had a really nice relationship with her, with each other, and we've actually done some research since. But she really was fascinated by the way I learn. So when I was doing my master's in 2021, I decided to go and see if I was dyslexic. So I paid the $700 and went off and found that I was, which was nice because that sort of made me realize that's why I had Irlen syndrome. They are comorbid together.
And
then so that made me that's why I basically researched about neurodiversity in the vocational in facilitating success. So, and then last year, after doing my master's, I got diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah, why not? Just need that cream on top, right?
Exactly. It makes it just like I feel complete. I feel, and I don't believe that you necessarily need to be diagnosed, but it makes so many things fall into place. You know,
well, I totally get it, right? Like I remember, so yeah, I always used to think I was just dyslexic, and I'd go to a lot of neurodiversity events, and I'd be meeting with like other people who are ADHD. And then I remember people talking, going, "Oh yeah, usually they have a buddy," and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm just dyslexic." And then I started looking into it. Like, so for example, for me, I really struggle in very busy environments, or say if someone's playing music, music, and concentration, I can start something and then, quit it and stuff like that. And I started looking into
I'm the opposite. I start something and I have to finish it. So like there's, like there's different levels of differences. My son is also ADHD. He's definitely more like you. Like start something and finds it really hard to finish. I am, fast and furious. Things got to be done. And I now, but having the diagnosis, and I don't know if it's the same for you, Will, I feel like I don't have to make excuses for myself anymore.
Like I think it just makes sense, or I'm aware of it now. So I'm sort of like, so say for example, like, now I actually am quite good at completing things, right?
Yes.
But I now know, okay, you need to have a bit of a break from this for a little while, maybe go on to something else, but you need to come back to that and finish that off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm I think I've found, what's the word I'm looking for? Like techniques or something that.
Well, I call them my workarounds. Like they're wee things that I do to make life easier for me, that make me work around how to get to something. So I didn't know there were strategies. I don't know people put them in place.
Strategies.
Me,
yes.
Yeah. See, for me, they were my wee workarounds, and some of them I'm going to have to lose because I created them so that I could get through life. And now I'm like, actually, I don't need to create excuses because or other things. I am who I am. So
Totally. See, like even for me, like going to the shops is really difficult for me, especially when they're very busy. I need to just get in there, get straight out. Or
you mean like grocery shopping?
Yeah, any type of shopping, But here in Australia, I don't know if it's the same in NZ. We've got like, do you have Woolworths and Coles over there? We
don't have Coles. We do have Woolworths though.
Okay. So Woolworths here, and I'm pretty sure Coles do it as well. They've got something called direct to boot, so you can collect. So you can order it online and then drive in with your car, and they'll bring it straight to your boot and put it in. And I love that because they'll tell me when it's ready. I go and pick it up, and then I can get out. I don't have to find a car park. I go straight there. They put it in. I'm out. You know what I mean?
So we have click and collect, so it's similar. But you know what I have? I have a husband that goes, and I don't.
Okay.
I'm not into grocery shopping. Do love shopping. And since COVID, have got very, very good at online shopping.
Okay, yeah. But I think it's just those little things. You sort of realize what triggers those, and once you sort of have a bit of a better understanding of it, you're able to sort of get into that type of thing. But no, totally. So sort of going back to your research there, what enticed you to want to research this area? So what I did want to say, Sorry, let me just finish for a sec. What I did want to say was, I'm sure you probably, for one, you would have seen a lot of things that you struggled with, but especially being a teacher yourself, you probably would have seen a lot of this in your students as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I wanted to explore how lecturers could create learning experiences that included and not only included, but to take account of the challenges faced by our neurodivergent learners, but also like to be able to enhance their capabilities. We've just been talking about you and I enhancing our capabilities, and that because we bring, and so neurodiverse learners bring different learning styles and teaching into the learning environment. So I wanted to hear from learners who class themselves neurodivergent and were unaware that there was a lot offered from, and especially our target polytechnic, but from tertiary education. So, but I wanted to find out what their lecturers did. I wanted to see what support staff did. I wanted to see in tertiary education circles what the discussion was about neurodiversity. Like words are important, and words are important to get right. I wanted to know what the interests that learners to fit, and I wanted to find out. I just wanted to find out how we could make a neurodivergent learner succeed in the current education state, and just lots of a lot of the learners I interviewed, a lot of the lecturers I interviewed had some really nice things to say, but we all realised there wasn't a lot of conversation except with each other. So making it more taking the stigma out. I just wanted to see how I dropped out of school in we call it sixth form, I don't know, year 11, year 12 at school, so second last year of school. Because I thought I was thick. So no idea what I could have gone. And I think that in a way I went and learned personal training because I thought there probably wouldn't be much writing, or actually there was a bit, but really low level. I'd hate to think if I found an assessment that I did back then and read it now, what it would look like, because that wasn't what I was there for. I could show people, and I knew, and I knew that I love sport. Had to learn to be able to speak in front of a crowd. I was never, I was called Rowdy Rachel for the fact that I didn't just say anything.
So it's the opposite type of thing. I
want to hear, I want to hear my own voice, but I want, I want the conversation to be bigger and louder, and I want neurodivergent learners and neurodivergent individuals and anyone to, have a say and be heard.
It's interesting. Back when I was in school, when you're struggling and there's no hope, or you feel there's no hope, because it is for a young kid, and I'm not sure if you were the same, when you're constantly failing, or you're being told that, hey, look, you're never going to be able to achieve these types of roles, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do a laboring job because you'll never be able to do this, you lose confidence, and when you lose confidence, you don't I suppose you don't have the drive to want to learn. You know what I mean?
Hard.
Yeah. Because
unless you've got someone in the background betting for you, it's so hard.
Yes.
Like I have a really supportive husband. I have a very supportive formal leader and a really supportive team. So I feel like I'm allowed to do anything. But for a long time, I didn't. And a long time, there was a lot of my youth and into my, later teens that I don't even know where I was going.
Yep. It's so familiar with so many people. And you're dead right. I think when
having someone there.
But when I really started to, I suppose, start to do really well was once I had some really good role models, or, you know, people who were able to see me for who I was and then gave me opportunities to be able to excel. You know, I have a feeling that I could probably go to university now if I really wanted to, but I don't really need to at the moment. I've got so many other things happening. But I probably could go in there, but I'd probably want to make sure that, one, I've got the right support, people understand what I can do, can help me, all that, because I know for myself what I've been able to do. So when I left school, right, let's say I wrote you an email with, say, I don't know, 200 words about what I've been up to. I remember I was that bad at like spelling and punctuation that I would write a whole big page without a full stop. It would just be a big line. And whoever was reading it was probably thinking, what the hell? You know, now I speak to people because, you know, I'm talking to people on LinkedIn, emailing all the time. You know, I'll be writing to people and people be like, dude, like, you spell pretty good for a dyslexic person.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, well, to tell you the truth, like, you know what I found with like Grammarly and all of those types of, say, like spell check, and because like even like MS and all that comes up with little things. What I found was once I would be going through, I don't know, typing something, and then it'll show me that I need like a comma here. After a while, you get used to be going, oh yeah, that's right. So I'll put a comma. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I seem to have gotten better.
Yeah. And just by repeating and saying, I've got to do and do and do. I still struggle sometimes on how to spell dyslexia, and sometimes neurodiverse really just throws me. So
I think with neurodiverse, I don't use the word neurodiverse that often. I use neurodiversity or neurodivergent. But but I don't use neurodiverse much.
E-U-U-E.
Yeah. But do you know what? I would sometimes find that I would, even words that I've spelt right a million times before, and you may even recognize this as a teacher, when you're writing it on the board, you might have a complete mind blank one day and you're like, am I spelling this right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you ever get that?
All the time. And I still think, I'm like, I don't know, but I will say to my learners, so how am I spelling this? Like, I used to think, I'm not writing it because I don't know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Perfectionism that's in the end. I'm like, nah, just like, what am I saying? How do you spell it?
Yeah.
And I just ask them now, adults, they don't care.
Do you want to know something funny? Because I'm very open about my dyslexia, especially with my class and all that. And I'll never forget. I'd say sometimes because sometimes what I'll write, if there's certain words I can't spell, I'll change the sentence I'm writing. So I get to, you know what I mean? So I can write it.
Oh, definitely. I will absolutely do that.
Yeah. But I remember, I'll never forget this one student. She's like, oh, did you just change the sentence because you couldn't spell it well? And I turned around and I'm like, yes, very good. Thank you very much for pointing that out. And then she's like, like she was like, mate, she was real embarrassed and all that. But
I do that constantly. Like I go to write something and I'm like, definitely. Oh, I can't remember which one's got the E and the I and the A and the what. Oh, absolutely, I'll do that for you.
Totally. But anyway, we probably should get back into. But yeah, you know, I suppose for yourself, you'd probably had come across a lot of challenges yourself, students, all of that type of stuff, and then went into this research. What did you like, was there much research to start with, or were you like, oh my God, I'm really starting off with a clean slate here?
I mean, well, like, honestly, the challenge right from the start was that I had to read to see it and look to see if I could find any research on this area. And then I had to start writing stuff about it. And then in the way on the process, then I had to start staying focused. And then I had to start learning how to put this all together in an academic paper. I'm like, remember, I dropped out of school. So it was the whole thing. So yeah, I had to start looking. I had my supervisors were really good. And so they suggested that maybe I just read the abstracts for a start. To just read the abstract and see if you think it will fit with you, if it's around this project. And so that was easy because that's just a small amount of words. And I just started writing them down. And I was like, that person, yep. And I've got some areas that I just fall into. I'm doing some research still now. And I've got some favorites that I know that talk about relationship building, strategies, communication, those people. So I tend to even still go back to those papers. And there's stuff falling in in research. It's a hot topic. I mean, well, we are a hot topic. So there's stuff dropping all the time, even now. But so when I did it, so I finished in 2022. So 2021, doing it all. There were, so it was hard to me to find, but thank goodness my supervisors just keep dropping, little tads of information. And I spoke to someone today about it, and I said, I learned so much about myself, learned so much about learning, learned so much about, being a neurodivergent learner, lecturer, mother, everything. Learned so much about, it was a huge, the whole thing was huge. And yeah, it was mind-blowing, really, and it still is. Really, to be honest. I mean, even like you reading it and then finding you, but at the time, there's more stuff coming out now.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing. I think probably the beauty of it is the people that come out of the woodwork as well. So like you and I connecting, I definitely know people I can connect you with who are doing research, and it just evolves.
And neurodiversity as a topic has got bigger. There was lots of papers on dyslexia, lots of papers on ADHD, lots and lots and lots on autism and autistic. But when I was trying to do the whole topic, and I know you meet one neurodivergent person and you've met one neurodivergent person, I know a lot of them are not similar. There's some traits, there's some not, some areas, there's different degrees or whatever. And severities of each thing. But and I was doing the whole topic. So there were lots of papers around, this Britain brings out masses of research around dyslexia, lots. They only have, but now New Zealand has some of our sites. We've now got a website on a tab on our website talking about it. So it's just evolving. It's like I can't remember because it's just like this. It's got wheels. It's taken off.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But what were some of the challenges you named a few of them before, but did you have any resistance from, say, trying to get people on board to give you information?
So I put out some posts and I put out some stuff, and I wanted some good data from different areas. I found that the lecturers I got easy to find. People I just said, I want, to interview. I was hoping in a way to get some maybe areas that weren't really on board, but of course no one was going to do that. And then I got the learners, and all my learners, there was the criteria. They needed to be a neurodivergent, and they were a very broad spectrum from Tourette's right through to dysgraphia, dyscalculia, so it was like there was many, and it was great. And there was a couple exactly like me. One had Erland syndrome, dyslexia, ADHD. It was like talking to myself. It was hilarious. But we hardly even spoke. We were just interrupting each other.
So it would have been hilarious. But do you find it sort of like more like it's almost relaxing? It's sort of like, oh my God, we have so much in common.
Oh, I just was like, I came home and I said to my husband, I said, I met this person today that I interviewed, and I wish I'd known what they know at their age. I said it was a pleasure. Like it was I was like, oh, I wish I knew what I know now when I was her age, so yeah, but it was great. I learned a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I know with a lot of the work I'm trying to do, especially with Neurodiversity Academy, is to really help those people at those younger ages and older ages as well, because I think especially at the ages we are at now, we're learning a lot of great stuff, which is actually helping our quality of life a lot more now.
Oh, yeah. I feel I've just done some research study in stigma, which I haven't even looked at the results because I'm a little bit busy at the moment. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I asked for some stories. So I have not read it. And I got a good amount of replies from a survey that I did. And that, because that's where I thought I would go down. I thought, I didn't really get there in my own work. I found all these, I got some really nice building relationships, making those connections, maybe, tell someone early on in your journey that you have a different learning style, things like that. And stigma never really came up. And I even wrote a little bit about it in my literature review, but nothing really came up. There's a little bit of push. It was, it was like, oh, my lecturer doesn't understand what I can do, things like that, but not that real. Probably back, I was born in the 60s. It was like a blue collar syndrome, I wanted to hear some stories, so now I have some data, so you'll have to wait for that.
All right, we look forward to it. We definitely look forward to it. But going on from that, what were some of the interesting things your research found? Like, was there some
celebrating the difference? Celebrating the differences, letting us recognize the diverse ways we all process different information, the different ways we all communicate, and accomplish the varied ways how we accomplish tasks.
So just in regards to communication, right? Could you give us some examples of like how we may all communicate? Like, are you talking about like some people might like it in written format, or because reason why I say is I remember I gave someone an hour-long presentation, and they came back to me and they're like, dude, I can't sit here and watch an hour-long presentation. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I got everything that was said in the presentation. I put it into a transcript. I put all the PowerPoint pictures there, and they were speed readers and read it within like 15 minutes, I think it was. And they're like, yeah, thanks so much, man. That was so quick.
Yeah.
Man.
Communication in many forms, like, a lot of neurodivergents don't understand that there's slight pauses in conversations, and that's when you should interrupt. We just override each other, those sort of things, but also in learning styles and different ways that we learn, different ways we communicate in that sense, like visually, hearing. If I'm tired, I'm not reading, I'm doing text to speech, like I will just get something to read to me. If I have got someone saying something and they're like, oh, you do it like this, I'm like, can you just show me and then let me do it? Or can you show me, tell me, tell me over my shoulder what I'm meant to be doing? So there's different ways, and just being okay with that. And like in my lectures, I like to have a PowerPoint to keep me on track, and it doesn't have to be big, but it's just got some of my pages have hardly any writing on them, some have a little bit more, but that's just to keep me on track, and give them something to look at, because they probably don't want to stare at me for the next 2 hours. Then I can activities, videos, I give out paper if they want paper. I ask, does anyone like paper, or do you want to download it off your computer? Because you can have both options. There's a download on there. I just like to give lots of different forms of, ways and different. Yeah, we all accomplish our tasks so differently. So just understanding the strengths that neurodivergent learners have. They're not always deficits.
Can I ask something, right? And I often think about this, right? So is online learning a big thing over in NZ?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's a worldwide thing, right? So we're seeing online learning is such a big
COVID. Learning.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I am really interested, and I don't know if you really looked into this yet.
You're giving me more work to do.
Yeah. Nudge, wink, right? What are your thoughts on online learning, and have you done any research in that area, especially around neurodiversity? Because I know for myself, and I've spoken with a lot of different neurodivergent people, I can struggle with online learning because I'll read something, I'll be like, what the hell is they talking about? So I have to go ask the person, they tell me, then I go back to the next question. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Do you know what I mean? Really difficult.
You've forgotten.
Well, it's that, and I'm just like, I have no idea what they're talking about. It seems like and then because I'm having to, and then sometimes you can only, it might take 2 days to book another session with your teacher. You can't just, it's not like putting your hand up in class and going, hey, teacher, can you come over and explain this? You've then got to book another session and, and then it starts to snowball, right? But then I've even spoken to other neurodivergent people, so maybe more autistic people who really thrive off that because that really works well for them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's a real sort of up and down thing.
Getting it right. So I myself am doing I'm doing a diploma in another area and doing it part-time because it is all online, and I'm doing it part-time because I do struggle with that. So far I've done 2 courses and passed, so that's good. I'm on to my 3rd one, but I need to do it slowly because there is a lot of information written, but there is in the topic, and the institute that I'm learning through has lots of videos, so it's quite nice. So there I can listen, and then they give extra articles if you want to read more, which I generally don't want to read anymore, but I can listen to the videos. But then I teach to an online platform. It's a bit blended, so they have me for a few hours a week that they can come online and chat to me, but generally all their tasks and all their stuff is done. I don't know if it's just because I say to them, I haven't got a crystal ball, I don't know what your questions are, so ask. And I feel like I get good responses by saying I'm neurodivergent. So I have a different learning style. If you've got a different learning style, happy to work with you. If you need a little bit more assistance, come and let me know. I'm online on this day and this day, and jump on and I'll answer any of your questions. Or if you want a separate time, just email me and I'll see what I can do. So
it is interesting because you know what, I've done stuff before, and we've done like that hybrid learning type of thing.
Yeah.
And we've gone on to say the teacher to go over the stuff, and then you've got these students who are really excelling, then they'll go, oh, can you start with the last question, the hard one? And it's like, man, I don't give a stuff about the hard one. I need to know this first one.
We're going to number 1, please. Yeah.
And then the teacher will just miss that and go straight to this bottom one. And it's like, or then I might go, hey, look, what, I really don't understand this. I'll remember we went over it in class. Go back through the video and watch it. And it's like, man, I can't sit there and watch a whole video again. I need things broken up.
And what you find is in a classroom setting, the neurodivergent learner won't be the one that says, yes, please, can you start again? You won't get that, and they'll sit there and struggle. So I'm quite good at reading a room. I'm quite good at seeing, and generally sometimes when I give an activity out, I will spot sit and sit in a room with me. Online learning, though, is a little bit different. And I will go back, but I've learned that you can do a control find on the application, the site that I can, and if I put in a word, it'll show me where there's lots of places that I can read a little bit more about it. So I like it though. I like it if I, I've got to be in the right, right.
I think it has to. I think it can be done. I think it just needs to be set up in a way properly, and I think that the teacher needs to be mindful of the students as well, what's going to happen, because I just feel that this is but what I'm finding as well with a lot of online learning, it may be just entirely online where you're not even interacting. You're very minimally.
I'm sort of doing that with my learning, but like one of the things that was really interesting that my research found was how do you create those healthy and helpful conversations and explore how lecturers can adapt their teaching to fit the learner, and just being not accommodating, because I don't believe you need to be accommodating. I just think that you need to have varied learning styles and learning platforms in your room. You just can't sit there and read. You can't. We have a thing here, death by PowerPoint. You can't. It's no one learns like that anymore. I don't believe.
Totally. Now, what was some of the biggest positives around neurodivergent individuals that you found? And you've sort of covered a bit of this.
Yeah.
What was some of the stuff that really stood out to you with your research?
I had this wee anagram that I sort of put together at the end of my masters, and it was just care. We or I care about our neurodiverse learners, and what can we do? So create that environment so learners can show off their strengths and strategies. Acknowledge the challenges that faced in higher education. Relationships and support the neurodiverse learner, making those connections and acknowledge how to build an inclusive environment. And encourage the discussion about the strengths and the uniqueness. So, they were all areas that I think are there, but just by making them bigger, like all the learners that I interviewed were all in their second or their third year. So out of, going to degrees and all of their different, I had nurses and design and business and lots of different varied, degrees that they were doing, academic work, and they were all achieving, but they all knew what they wanted and they were sticking to their guns. So, but a lot of them had formed a relationship with some lecturer. Or someone that they cared about them, and they all, no, not all of them, but they were learning how to have those courageous conversations. This is what I need. Our institute is it has a really nice supportive, student supported area, and generally, there's someone around that has is there to support. I mean, obviously there's still that stigma and there's always those, other areas, but
I think, and I really think that relationship with the student and teacher is vital to really help these people to gain that confidence. I think it's, because I think the biggest thing for me, once I had teachers who, some of them gave me some tough love, but I respected them, and that's what helped me to develop and grow. If that
you
makes
believe in
sense.
yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I think this is the big thing with education, where it is so important for a person. If you're giving this person what they need, they're going to soak that up. Maybe they'll make some mistakes, all right, and that's great. But these are the skills that they're going to get this confidence. They're then going to take those skills and start going into the workforce and starting to apply them as well. And then potentially go, you know what? I think I might go back to more education. Do you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean, because, you know, if my supervisor from my master's, Glenys, is just been this amazing person that's made me believe. She reckons it was all there. I just had to unlock, you know. But I also have really supportive colleagues. So my colleagues are really they get me, you know, and I get myself now. But, you know, my former leader, all the people, you know, my family have always been backing for me. But now it's like, wow, you know, what next? Now I'm like looking for something else. I love it.
Well, that works well into our next question. What would you like to see more research, or where would you like to see more research be conducted?
I want to make sure.
For me personally, I would like to see more of the online stuff. I really want to try to get into that, but that's just me. I don't know. Maybe you have something else that you really want to look at.
I just want to ensure that the future for learners continues to grow, develop, and it becomes a norm. That we welcome those learners into our classroom and online. It is a form of, you know, I believe that it can be done by upskilling our lecturers, modifying our teaching styles, like we talked before, building those relationships, and just recognizing our learners' strengths.
And I think also probably having access to assistive technologies as well, you know, really utilizing this new technology that's coming out. The thing that sometimes blows me away, not with everyone, but with a lot of learning organizations, they're still prehistoric, the old pencil and paper, you know, and it's like we really got to be moving towards that future, because there's going to be organizations who are moving towards that. And if you're not going to evolve with them, you're going to get left behind.
Well, there's some organizations that are paper free. So, you know, like they don't even have paper. And, you know, I was talking to a physio the other day, and he said, will you fill this out? And he goes, do you want to do that online? And I went, oh, do I have an option? And he said, some of my clients like to do paper. And I said, oh, no, I'll do it online. So, you know, like he's still given that wee option, but I think he'd like to be paperless.
You know what? I was doing some work for a company one time, and the students like, hey, am I able to use a computer to complete my assessments? And they're like, no, we don't do that here. And I'm like, what? Like that's like discrimination almost. If say someone can't like write, and you're like, no, we don't do that here. You know, that's just ridiculous. I just can't believe at this day and age people are still like that.
And they should, and do you know what really they should be saying? You put it in any way you like.
Yeah. Totally.
What hardship is it for them to any form?
Yeah. You know, they could have.
Who said?
Yeah. Like, it's just like, why are we still going? And a lot of my arguments, or the response to a lot of my arguments, a lot of the time have been like, look, our cohort, a majority of them don't use computers and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you know, and if we have a look at a lot of, and okay, some of those qualifications that they're going for would probably be for, you know, laboring jobs or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if we're looking into the future, and when I say this, the not too distant future, we're going fully automated. Everywhere's going fully automated. We should really be looking at, if someone can't be writing or whatever, we need to be getting them up to some type of speed with these computers before they even consider doing some study, because they'll be null and void shortly.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Life is, I mean, and things are progressing. AI's here to stay. You know, get on board or you'll be, you know, sad.
Totally. Do you know what? Even like myself, like I'm pretty tech savvy, but I'm not as tech savvy as like a lot of these younger kids. I try to make sure I'm up to speed with things because I don't want to get left behind. You know what I mean? I want to be on board with all this new technology.
Yes. Yeah, and know it so that you can talk about how you should use something and how you shouldn't use something. Like it's just, and if you're doing academic work, or if it's not your work, then don't claim it. Just give credit where credit's due,
Well, you and I, we were having a conversation not long ago about ChatGPT, and that's a big talking topic in education at the moment. And for me, I love ChatGPT, not so it can print out my assessments for me, because I like to do the assessment, but I need help with, say, the spelling and punctuation, and it helps me
with words that we wouldn't put in there.
Yeah, exactly. But when we're seeing people abusing that system, that's where we've got problems.
And I think those people those ones that are abusing it, like we always saw learners who would go on to Google, put in a question, and then copy whatever Google spat out and just put it in. Sometimes they wouldn't even change the font. And I think those learners are going to be the ones that copy straight over. But I think you can get good best of both worlds. You can teach your learners how to, put the fluff around the words that you don't want to, I've helped make an email. I wanted to write an email to someone and say no. And I thought, I probably should say, oh, hi, how are you? And thanks for the email and da-da-da-da-da. So I just said to chat, reply to them.
No, I love it.
Lovely fluff around,
Yeah, no, I love it because actually the job that I just applied for recently, I used ChatGPT to do the cover letter.
Oh, yeah.
Because so what all I did was write it out myself, and then I said to ChatGPT, can you rewrite this and just fix up the punctuation? And it pretty much had my words, but it just made it sound a little bit more better.
Fluffy.
Yeah. And I was like, man, this sounds awesome.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah, totally. So are there some practical outcomes from your research being put into place?
Well, I there was a few handouts like that care that I just mentioned before. Then we've got a neurodiverse flag so we've got a neurodiverse community of practice. There's a group of us on the Polytechnic, and we've just got 4 more people to join our steering group. So there's a group of us, and then there's a wider group of us. And then we have, so we're all of that. We have workshops or HUIs, what we call them here. And we bring in people to talk about something that someone on the committee has thought that it may be an area of need. We've now got a flag inside and outside saying that neurodiverse learners are welcome.
We have,
an area on our staff page, as well as our our intranet, as well as our website for the learners. The conversation is huge. We have a quiet space in one of our blocks. It's a room that is, no technology, no chatting, no eating, just, sitting there. One of the most calming spaces. And do you know what? I sat in there I was showing someone, and we just both sat down and just sat there. And it was lovely. And I did want to say to them, this is what it's about, but it's a room that you don't even feel like you needed to do anything. So those are all happening. Like the area we've got, I think I said to you recently, there's a organisation here, Aotearoa, and they have a dyslexia friendly quality mark that you can award to each area. Well, Otago Polytechnic, 4 of the schools, so we've got lots of schools, but 4 of them have already been awarded so we've gone through and proven that we look after our learners.
Yeah, and that's great.
All the other departments will go through it eventually, but we're such a big organisation. And there's lots of there's lots and lots of it's good stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, what about the lecturers? Have you found that a lot of them have been getting on board too now?
Oh, I actually had a colleague friend interview me because she wanted to do some research about what I've brought to our department, what I've brought to her. So she went through ethics and asked if she could just interview one person, and that was me, and just had, because she just learned so much, and it just helps, like she said, it's just helped her open up and think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, I have some of my other colleagues that have no idea about it, and they've just sat and talked and wanted to know what is neurodiversity, you know, or they didn't realize that I meant dyslexia and ADHD. They didn't realize it was another word.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's the conversation is huge. We had a huge symposium last year. We had, I think there was 200 online and 150 in on campus, 19 people over a day and a half. And that was big for just our little organisation. And we're looking to do that again in October 2025. So we had a UK lady talking and a few from Australia. People travelled down all over New Zealand came to it. We had our guest lecturer from Australia. From where does Pratik work? Montage.
Oh, yeah, Monash University.
Yeah, and that was amazing. Just some good stuff is happening. It's
there you go. And that's the thing. I think it is, especially from when I got into this space, like it is within, say, the last 4 years, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think the work that you're doing and a lot of other people are doing, it's definitely really helping just grow it and just get a bit of a better understanding of it. But Rachel, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been great having a chat with you today. It's always lovely to have a chat with you. All right. Now we're just able to record it. You know what I mean? But if you know, maybe some people want to connect with you or maybe find your research, what would be the best place to go or to find you?
LinkedIn, really. I mean, I think that's where you reached out to me. So I've actually got my master's, I think, is on there, and I have actually written another couple of articles or co-authored that I put in there as well. And someone wrote to me yesterday and said, "Oh, I read this article. It was amazing. I hope that is what other lecturers are going to do." So there is some, if you want to scroll on my LinkedIn. But that's probably the best way to get me.
Or find your well, I found your research through Google Scholar.
Oh.
Okay. So if you just type in Vocational Education Neurodiversity Research, I think, and then it came up. There's a whole certain thing. I think yours might have been the second one down. And that was where I found your research. Is that where it is?
Yeah. I just put Rachel Van Gorp.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
And it's got Embracing Neurodiversity, Supporting Learners to Success. Oh, no, that's not even it. That's my other article. My Journey. Oh, no, that's another article. Oh, so actually don't do that. Oh, there's, Neurodiversity and Vocational Education, Facilitating Success.
Cool.
And I have 2 others that are there too.
Sweet. Also, too, just a shout out to Kelly Hutchinson. She just wanted to say thank you. It was inspiring. So thank you, Kelly, for coming through. You legend. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on today. Please connect with Rachel. She's doing some really great stuff there. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Will Wheeler, and this is the Neurodivergent Mates podcast. Until next time.
See you later.